Welcome to the podcast, Guidance with Gab. Learn and unlearn all things wellness. Welcome back to another episode of Guidance with Gab. Learn and unlearn all things wellness. For today's episode, we are going to be talking and learning and unlearning about laughter and healthy distractions, because we all know that distracting and avoiding obviously gets a bad rap, but sometimes it can honestly be to our favor. So first, I want to start this off by saying, if anyone is going to be laughing at a wrong time, it is 1000% going to be me. I have laughed at some of the worst times, definitely inappropriate, but I can't help it. There's something about knowing I shouldn't laugh that it's like all my control just goes out the window. And it starts with the nose, If you know, you know. It starts with the little nose laughter that you hear other people doing where they're like, and then you're like, oh no, this is gonna spiral. And I always do. When I played soccer, obviously it's kind of serious and you can't just be laughing all the time. And I'm sure my coach can attest to this. But there would be times where we're in a huddle and we're all locked in, except me, and everyone's serious. And I probably should be feeling a type of way because I'm probably going to be getting yelled at. We are all probably going to be getting yelled at. And yet I can't help myself. Like, I have to laugh. I'm trying everything in my power to not laugh, but I'll let out like a little giggle. And then, of course, in those situations, everyone's like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what I'm laughing at. There's nothing I should be laughing about, but here I am. And why I wanted to talk about laughter today is because it is such a good uplifting tool that we have that comes from within. So I always like to provide some free tools and things that we can just like cultivate within ourselves to make us feel better so that we don't feel the need to go out, spend a lot of money, do this crazy, I don't know, do ayahuasca, just laugh. Just laugh at home instead. That's all you need. And it is, I mean, for some people, obviously, when you're in such a deep, dark space, it is hard to laugh, honestly, and connect to that fun, giddy version of you. But that's where I find the healthy distractions to come into play, because they can help you extract the laughter that you need that will then boost your mood, because we know that the mind and the body are connected and laughter is a physical response, but then it's sending chemicals to your brain to help you actually feel better. I've done some yoga classes and meditations where they force you to laugh. And of course, in the moment, it feels weird. It is the fake it till you make it. But laughter is one of those things that once you start, it really does have that positive spiral up, which is one of the reasons why I love it. It's once you start it, it's hard to contain it because it's such a natural flowing release. So when I start my yoga classes, I always say, if you feel the need to laugh or cry, both are okay. I'm very aware that laughter does help you get things out. Think about when someone is saying something really mean and a defense mechanism could be to just laugh. It's because you're like, instead of breaking down to cry, you might just start laughing. And again, in awkward situations, sometimes instead of crying, you might just laugh. And it is a beautiful form of release. So I always say it's okay to laugh. Obviously, unless you're making fun of it in your head, but people feel uncomfortable. There's weird feelings going on. And laughter really helps get that out. So if you are listening to this right now and you feel like, I haven't laughed in a while, this is your sign to pause the podcast and start laughing. Do exactly what I talked about in the meditations I've done and the yoga practices that I've done, where you fake it till you make it. It's going to be weird and uncomfortable and strange, but I promise it's going to be worth it. You are going to feel so much better, even if it's for temporary relief and it doesn't change your entire day. Let's just focus on right now. Take a minute, especially if you're alone and not going to look like silly pants. Just start laughing. Force it out. I'll give you some time. You can pause it and come back to this. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed your laughter. Now I want to talk about the bridge between laughter and distractions. For me, when I'm deep in my feels, it is actually very valuable for me to distract myself, especially if I feel myself near maybe an anxiety attack or a panic attack, because then I kind of remember that there is life outside of me. I get very consumed in, again, like the panic of like all these things happening. But when I look at maybe pictures or watching a YouTube couple that I always watch, or I'm just like connecting with people outside of myself and outside of like my immediate circle where I am in that moment, it really helps me realize like, okay, wait, you're fine. Like these things are still existing. I had one really bad moment where maybe some psychedelics were involved and I was having maybe not the best time. And I remember texting my friend. He told me he was going to walk his dog. And that is the thing that I feel like saved me from myself. Just knowing that he was out there in the normal world, just going to walk his dog felt crazy to me. Like, okay, wait, he is okay. Like, the world is normal. You can just walk your dog and like life is okay. And I know that that sounds so stupid, but truly in the moment, making the connection that people are out there doing normal everyday things changed everything for me. That snapped me out of wherever I was at and helped me come back. And sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own feelings that we do forget that there are bigger things out there and things that may require some other attention. For me, talking to my friends and asking them what's going on in their lives also helps me, not because I just want to avoid talking about myself, but showing the care to other people. Like, life is beyond me. Other people have shit that's going on. Some of it is really hard stuff, and I want to be able to show up for people and not feel like my world is so consuming that I can only focus on me. So, a suggestion for you if you are looking for a healthier distraction is just calling your friends and talking to them about their lives. You don't want to always go so deep into whatever you're feeling. Of course, go deep into your feelings and process them, all that stuff. But sometimes if you're calling 10 friends and telling them everything that's going on, you're kind of winding yourself up about what's happening, and it might actually be more useful to take space from whatever you're going through and talk to them about what is happening in their lives. Something else I really like to do is go on Instagram and not look at other people's lives, but watch funny videos, things that I don't know, things that are just happening in the world that are so funny, because there are some just comedians on there. Even if they're not trying to be funny, if they're like oh my god, the door cameras, those are so funny to me because it's so raw and natural and no one's trying to be funny there. It just happens to be funny. And those just make me laugh. They turn into laughter for me, even if it's a little forced, even if it's through a distraction. I feel like it's healthier than just sitting in my shit of whatever I'm going through. I do always advocate for like sitting with your feelings, feeling your feelings, but you need to know how long you're going to do that for. I personally don't want to sit in bed all day long, sitting with my feelings, trying to process them, harping on it because I'm just truly going to feel like shit all day. But then if I take some time to healthily distract, then I think there's a good balance because you don't want to get like stuck in your deep feelings for too long where you almost feel like you can't get out. And I also don't think that it's okay to be distracting all the time and completely avoiding your feelings because we know that that is also very much not okay. There is a fine line between avoiding and healthy distraction, and I think that comes down to you and knowing yourself. For me, I can tell when it becomes avoidant when it's been maybe like 15 minutes and I'm still just doom scrolling on my phone. And I'm like, I'm not even laughing anymore. I'm not getting anything out of it. I think once what you've achieved is kind of it's sent off already, it's time to move on, get away from the avoiding. And I think it also depends on when you are choosing to distract yourself. Are you distracting yourself when someone is talking to you and it's criticism and you just don't want to listen because then you're being disrespectful? Or is it you need to cool down and you need to like take your mind somewhere else for a little bit so then you can come back? And that's a difference too. A distraction is something that can bring you out for a short period of time, but then you come back. You have the accountability to come back and deal with whatever you are distracting yourself from. Whereas avoidance is so prolonged. Avoidance, you might just not get back to it. It's like saying, oh, I'll wash the dishes later, and then you just never end up washing the dishes. That's avoiding. But if you say, oh, I've been doing so many chores all day, I'll wash the dishes later. Right now, I want to go watch an episode of Vanderpump Rules, my new obsession. And then you do go back to washing the dishes. That's a very simple, straightforward example as to the difference of a distraction that is probably helpful and healthy versus avoidance. For the past few days, I've been feeling a little bit sad, and that's okay. But I have been using a little bit of distraction. I go into my feelings when it's necessary and when I have to, and when I feel like I am capable of doing it. But I am also using healthy distraction. I will call my friends and I do ask what they're doing. I try to cook something really good. I listen to podcasts so I don't feel alone. I watch Vanderpump Rules so that I can just feel not so bad about myself. It's these little things that help you get through whatever you're going through, and distraction is okay as long as you are super aware of how, when, and why you are using it. So, at the end of the day, this episode is just here to remind you to laugh because shit's funny and you don't need to be so serious all the time. Laugh. I dare you after this. If you did not laugh before, I'll feel it. I'll feel it on you. And that distracting is sometimes okay. Yes, sit with your feelings, process them, don't become avoidant, but just know how to use your distractions around you in a very healthy, safe way. Let's not turn towards things like alcohol and drugs, maybe. That's probably not the safest, but I think all you people that I'm talking to know what I'm trying to say, and I don't even need to open that can of worms. So thanks for listening to this weird episode. It just felt right to talk about this. Maybe because I'm going through it right now. Need some laughter, need some healthy distraction. I hope you're all doing fine and well. Please leave me a review if you like it, a comment, a like, a share, all the fun stuff. Thank you for listening. I'm so grateful.